We are working on a new project, a new 5-song EP at our friend's studio, the illustrious Carpet Booth Studios in Rochester.
Sweet.
So we don't have a formal announcement, but it is in the works.
Sweet. Are any of you guys involved in other bands or artistic projects outside of the Gold Gangs?
Yeah, I'm in our last show actually was yesterday at Ed's for Midwest Music Fest, but I was in a band called Local Sports.
Oh.
So we're kind of like a punk band, I guess, rock band. But yeah, yesterday was our last show. It was good.
Oh, are you guys planning on expanding on Blow Mechanics since that was your last show?
Local sports.
Yeah, since Local Sports.
Yeah, I think we've been around forever. I think it's just always, I don't know about expanding, but we're always just kind of on a steady clip of making new,
Just keep pushing stuff out.
making new stuff. Yeah.
Since we're in a different band, how does playing rock or punk differ from rap?
I like them both a lot. I think this is I've got a lot of confidence in terms in rapping. I think so. It's really fun. They're both great. Guitar was like my first love, but I started rapping a little bit after that. They're both awesome. I feel like commanding a crowd when you're rapping is a lot easier.
Would you say it would be one of your favorite songs out of Blow Mechanics? Would you like to sing before?
We put out a new record at the end of this year called Butcher's Block. It's sort of an extra, even by our standards, it's sort of extra amount of bravado and sort of talking dirt at no one in particular. But so we try to really bring that energy to it, and so
Yeah, Crush is my favorite song on that one.
appreciate that. We the second song on that one is called Crush, and I think that's probably the perfect distillation of that, just over the top and really unnecessary amount of
Smack talk.
yeah, just sort of and no one in particular. But so to me, in songs like that by rappers I really love, just that sort of does the most for me because it just makes me feel like.
The rapper.
Yeah, it makes me just walk taller and push my chest out. So if I'm just walking the streets listening to stuff like that, that's the main thing I feel like I get from the hip hop I love. So that's what we were trying to kind of do with that.
Yes.
While we were doing our research, I noticed you guys were inspired a lot by MF Doom. Is there other inspirations that really helped push you guys?
I mean, production-wise,
Yeah.
Jay Dilla, Flying Lotus, guys like that for sure. Doom is a huge one.
Yeah.
I'd say those are probably the top three.
Yeah,
but,
I'm a huge fan too.
I know Trevor and I really love the Roots. Trevor even more than me, but Black Thought, most stuff.
Yeah, Black Star,
Black Star,
which is they have that 2 MC and a producer dynamic.
Yeah.
Duos, if we're talking about duos and groups, it's funny, but one of my favorite rap duos is called Binary Star, and they're two MCs as well.
I heard that one before, really good.
But then, I don't know. I think we listen to a ton of stuff. Aesop Rock is another huge one. There's just so much of it out that,
But yeah, just that kind of combination of really ill beats, usually sample-driven beats, and MCs who strike that balance between being technically gifted but also musical, and strike that balance between walking around with a lot of bravado and swagger but also have something interesting to say. To me, that's sort of the sweet spot, and that's what we try to emulate.
Cool. Yeah. I know that you said you played guitar. Do you guys have any instruments you play outside the band?
I started on guitar,
Yeah.
but I kind of gave that up and not mastermind any real instrument, but I dabbled.
I know I'm
few things.
trying to pick up a bass guitar myself, so.
I'm the exact same way. I picked up clarinet starting much younger, and then I just kind of gave up on it. So then I started learning trumpet, piano, a bunch of other things.
I will say Dustin's modest. He might not play guitar, but I really believe, I know that Trevor believes too, that he is one of the best hip-hop producers around.
Yeah.
And I fully believe that. I've listened to tens of thousands of hours of hip-hop music, so I feel like I can have a valid opinion.
Yeah.
So he's pretty modest, but his sample choice and the way he flips a sample or makes 4 bars of a '60s, soul record into a whole new, like just breathing new life into that stuff. He's super talented that way, and that's a completely different skill set to playing an instrument or rapping, so,
Yeah.
I just want to get that in for him,
Absolutely.
because he wouldn't say that himself, so. But, yeah.
So the chorus of the song, I Cannot Breathe, has you two alternating every word. I find that to be very satisfying. How do you formulate your more creative bars and artistic choices in your songs?
I think the one thing that we try to exploit is what you can do with two voices, at the same time. And so that's an example of one way you can make that work. Another way you can make it sort of work to your advantage relative to just being a solo MC is like passing the baton a bunch. So we try to do that, in like 4-8 bars at a time, sort of in sections. That's another trick. Another trick is sort of the word for word kind of passing back and forth, where we just sort of try to engineer situations like that. So it's really all about, the ultimate goal is to just make stuff that never gets boring and you never kind of lose somebody's sort of engaged attention when they're listening to it. And
Right.
so try to make use of having two voices to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's technically what we typically do when we're in person is we have a big whiteboard that we draw a line down the middle, and we kind of sketch out a general structure based on what the beat is given to us, and then it's word for word in person, figuring it out, different colored markers, all that sort of stuff, to get into that more sort of fine technical back and forth type stuff. And a lot of really janky demos to start that we do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times until they're sort of right.
Yeah. In 2020 Facebook posts, you guys had addressed the unfortunate happenings up in Minneapolis, and you mentioned how you're going to be giving a lot of your funds to donating to anti-supremacy, anti-white supremacy, and stuff like that. Are you still doing that now, and are there
Yes.
charities you're looking into for Midwest Music Fest?
We haven't picked one for Midwest Music Fest. A couple of the big ones have been like Black Visions and the United Way of Twin Cities, and it's sort of always changing. Especially during that time, there was this big crush of donations coming in, and so some of these nonprofits that had been sort of smaller operations almost couldn't handle the influx, and we're sort of diverting it around. So we kind of look to those organizations as to where to funnel that money. We don't, frankly, generate a organizationally changing amounts of revenue to direct, but yeah, that's obviously, like everybody, it's something we've always been aware of, and it's something we're keenly aware of as white people sort of who are guests in this genre.
Mm-hmm.
And then like everybody else, what went down 2 years ago just brought it so much more, front and center as to just how all of these things that, because we really put on for Minneapolis and love where we're from, but all the things that make it a great place to be aren't well distributed at all, and really sort of built on this bedrock of violence and terrorism.
Absolutely.
That we're in a lot of ways sort of direct, or at least indirect beneficiaries of. So we try to, we're not really an explicitly political artistic enterprise in terms of our content, but that's one sort of small step we've taken.
I got a question for you guys too. So I was listening through a bunch of your older songs, and I noticed that one of you guys, I don't know who, but I hadn't heard Spanish at somewhere along that line. Which one of you guys speaks Spanish? Wow.
That's really cool.
As a native Spanish speaker, I'm very pleased to hear that.
Thank you. I mean, it's I guess just like the sort of racial consideration around being white people in hip hop. There's obviously a line there, but a lot of what we do is a linguistic art, and so as you're looking for interesting ways to keep it fresh, that being able to flip a rhyme in a different language is just another kind of
Yeah.
fun, creative
That
enterprise.
was talent. That was talent right there.
You guys seem to be able to make quick music streamlined and authentic. No gimmicks, just bars. What fuels this desire to staying as real as possible?
Exactly as we were saying just
Yeah.
a second ago.
Does it tie into your desire to honor history of hip-hop in the Black community?
Yeah, the one thing Trevor and I and Dustin have always said is that, as he mentioned, being a guest kind of in the genre, is that we never wanted to be a caricature of white people making rap music or something.
Right.
And then most of our, influences in the music we love is made by black artists, and we never wanted it to be like, oh, it's three white guys making rap music. It was just like we wanted to be a really good rap group. So I think, yeah, just the no gimmicks and just trying to get better and better and better bars as the years go by, and it's just love the game, I guess. So, yeah.
And the first part of your question was about being streamlined, I guess, and to the point, and so that, independent of that sort of line of thought, like I said, a big part to me, what I'm looking for in the music I listen to is that sort of my attention meter, does it ever not, does it not ever just sort of flag? And a lot of times, one of the things that can make you lose interest in an otherwise ill song is it just goes on too damn long. So
Yeah.
that as just not a hard and fast rule, because you can't just stick to it just because you have a rule, but as a rule of thumb, we feel like we can sort of get the feel and point of a song across quicker than the average song, and so we try to keep it pretty like you said, to the point and streamlined, and that's something that I like in music, because usually the essence of it you can get across in you don't need 6 choruses and 5.5 minutes usually.
And not to put words in Dustin's mouth, a lot of it's by chance too, because the producers he likes, Doom and Jay Dilla, Flying Lotus, would make, beat tapes and mixtapes, and then Doom and Madlib's Mad Villain record, all those songs are like 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. So by chance, a lot of the beats that he was sending us were just short beats, and it was just like, oh,
I
awesome.
kind of forced that on them to a degree,
Yeah,
but
it's the way we.
yeah, just production-wise, keep things interesting, not too much repetition, just keep you thinking and whatnot.
Yeah, it's good. It's punchy.
Definitely better than like a 10-minute song of just the same thing for
Right.
the
Yeah.
whole time.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have tons of choruses, really, do we? I mean, it's
Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes back to, and people can make ill 7-minute songs too, so it's not about just having a rule for its own sake,
No
but
shit.
as a rule of thumb, I think you can, just less is more on that.
For sure.
Try to be like sort of ruthlessly focused on getting the idea across, and then keep it moving.
Other bands, especially in the Midwest Music Fest, have the similar goals of denouncing white supremacy, like Gully Boys and Black Velvet Punk. Do you have any ideas on collabing with any other Midwest music bands?
Or just collaborating with anyone else in general.
We're a pretty insular enterprise, not on principle, but we've never, over 7 albums in 10 years, we've never used anybody's beat. We've never had a feature. So that's sort of become a trademark of our enterprise. So that's one short answer of it. Yeah, it's a sort of a self-contained outfit.
Yeah. Has the band given you guys opportunities to travel to places you had been wanting to go around the U.S. or outside of the U.S.? And how's that been for you?
It's definitely given us opportunities to go places in the U.S. Not all of them would have been super high on my list before that, and sometimes those end up being even the more memorable experiences where you're playing. We were just laughing about playing this blues open mic in Peoria, Illinois, where they had the SM57 like mics for mic and guitar amps and stuff like that. But yeah, we've had great times playing down in Chicago. That's probably the most common place we played besides here. And then
Everyone likes it down in Chicago.
Yeah.
it's the best.
That
Well, it's not
was-
the best, but
That
it's
was
up there.
just probably the highlight of our, and it was very early in our career, but playing that show at the Emporium. We played at this really cool place called the Emporium, and we were like up right before the headliner, and it was just packed, and just like to get respect in a, you know, because Chicago's a major city for hip hop too. It's nice to go somewhere else and get respected, especially in like another mecca for hip hop. So it's
For sure.
awesome. Yeah.
And then it's really fun coming down to places like Rochester, Winona, these sort of interesting things that aren't necessarily on the map or on the radar, but all have their own really interesting sort of self-contained scenes, and to just get to be a tourist in that to a degree is really one of the better parts of the gig.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to kind of rephrase a question we asked earlier. Is there a song that you guys like to perform the most when you're on stage? Is there one that kind of gives you the most confidence?
We've always closed with the first song we ever wrote together, and it was actually I've been making music with Dustin since like 2009, and Glow Mechanics officially started in like 2012. But the last ever rap record that I did as a solo artist featured Bev, and that Business Casual was on that, and then we put it on the first Glow Mechanics release. But we always close with it. We always have, and it's. So I love doing that to this day, because it's been 10 years and it's still just a great track in my opinion. So
And it's become a ritual in its own right to always close with it, and we close with it, and then we always dap each other up on stage individually, and so that's sort of a nice like ritual to return to.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of starting up, how do you guys go about naming Glow Mechanics? Like, what's the deal?
Well, that was a big challenge, was like, we have this group, what are we going to name it? And I think one thing that I really got, we had a couple names that were a little more sort of either like self-deprecating or like almost had sort of a humorous bent to them, and that really didn't match the vibe of what we were going for. And so again, it's about, without going over the top with it, it is about actually carrying yourself in sort of a hip-hop way with sort of a regard for yourself and your skills. So we sort of avoided that. And then, yeah, I think one other thing, like Josh was mentioning earlier, is a lot of white hip-hop that I don't bang with has this kind of ironic or satirical bent to it, and that's never been our vibe either. So we didn't go with that. I remember Josh was into this word glow. He had that sort of stuck in his head, and he had a really cool song that him and Dustin did called Glow. And so we built it out from there.
I think we said too, the thing about the group is that like, so the group that I mentioned earlier, Binary Star, they're called that because they're two MCs who revolve around each other. That's how they got the name. But Glow Mechanics was just that glow is just this abstract thing that you can't really put down, around something. And then the mechanics of something is concrete and set in stone, and just the kind of contrast of the two is what it just really worked for us. I don't know, I couldn't imagine being called anything else, I guess.
It rolls off the tongue. Nothing else is called that.
Never second.
It has a sort of attraction to it.
Yeah, thank you.
I like it, yeah.
A really funny tweet I remember, finding in our mentions way back when, was this guy who said he posted. It wasn't at us. It was just I'd found it by searching,
Right.
and it was a picture of our stickers, which we used to, prolifically hit on stuff, bathrooms and all that. And he's like, yeah, this is the second time that I've Googled Glow Mechanics because I thought it was an ill name, and the second time I've been disappointed by what it was. But the moral of that story is actually positive, which is like, if your name can generate sort of a lead, so to speak, that's a huge barrier to overcome.
Absolutely.
Do you have any of your stickers still?
Yeah, do you guys have merchandise?
We've sort of run our merchandise operation down of late. We had a CD release show right around Christmas that we just started giving away all of our merch. So we don't on us is the short answer.
Ask him the album. Ask him Shimon.
Oh, Schmo Mechanics. That's just my favorite title for your
Word,
album.
thank
How did
you.
you come up with that one?
We got like a 10 out of 10 review for our first EP on some website, and we were just feeling really gassed up. And then I just remember being like, we got some positive press, and I just remember thinking that we got pushed pretty hard early, and it was just like, oh, but we can't. Who cares about them? But yeah, and then we joked because Wilco put out an album called Schmilko a couple of years ago, and we're like, we're gonna sue Wilco, stealing our idea. But no, I like that name a lot too.
Especially with a sophomore album, because that's the whole kind of vibe of a sophomore album. It's just like, it's sort of a do or die, like, are you somebody or are you a fluke, you know?
Yeah.
That's really all we have for questions right now.
Okay. Awesome.
Do you guys have anything you want to plug before this interview's over?
Yeah, Glow Mechanics, we've been at it 10 years. We feel like we're making the best music we've ever made, and so it's available wherever you find music. So really all there is to do is check it out and decide for
I
yourself.
hope you're
And
not disappointed.
yeah, exactly. I hope you're not disappointed, but even if you are, what we can promise is you won't be embarrassed to be listening to it. It meets at least baseline threshold of quality, whether you actually bang with it or not, and it will be short and to the point and won't waste your time.
I gotta say, we love your music.
Thank you.
I was introduced to you guys with I Can't Not Groove about 2 years ago. And
Word. Do you remember how?
yeah, I was in my friend's basement, and he was just like, "Dude, these guys Glow Mechanics are so cool." He
Yeah.
showed me music.
Yeah.
From then on, I've been
How do you think he
listening.
found it?
I think he was just scrolling around through YouTube.
That's
Where?
how,
Yeah, he just found it through YouTube recommended.
that's how we want it too. That
Yeah.
means a lot to us. So just
Appreciate
that
it.
it gets it.
So this was kind of
Yeah.
really exciting for me. It was
We were joking yesterday that we thought you guys might have thought we were somebody else.
oh my god, I've been looking forward to this for months.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited to meet you guys.
Are you gonna be able to come down to the set?
Yeah, we're gonna be hanging
Okay.
out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For sure.
Well, yeah, these were great questions, guys.
Yeah,
Seriously.
thank you so much.
This is awesome.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Take care.
That was-
Thank you.
That was
Thank you so
fantastic.
much.
Hey.